Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have a guest on from West Georgia Hospice and also will have guests on from Keep Truth Beautiful. So stay tuned for those interviews coming up in just a moment.
Why United Way? Because 99 cents of every dollar donated to United Way of West Georgia stays right here to help your neighbors. Yes, 99 cents. United Way makes every penny count. You can count on United Way, and United Way of West Georgia is counting on you. Please give today.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today my guest is on from the LaGrange Hospice. I have the director, Kathy Wiggins. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Alton. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you one more time here before the close of the year. And I want to just go ahead and just say Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you.
And you have that beautiful red sweater on. Get us in the Christmas spirit. And Kathy, and we've sat down a couple of times in the past and talked about you as the director there at Hospice, LaGrange Hospice. But just tell people what is Hospice, and then we'll get into some of the services that you all provide.
Okay. Well, we're West Georgia Hospice, and we serve patients in their own homes and in assisted livings and nursing homes in 5 counties. And then we have our beautiful hospice house, Hospice LaGrange, where we have 16 patient rooms, and we have patients and families who are there. We have very few that are residents, and the others are there on an acute level of care. In other words, we're managing symptoms that could not be managed at home, or they may be spending a few days respite to give their family a break from the care from their home hospice care.
Oh, okay. All right. So they kind of like a little, I guess, give the families a break for them to come out. Oh, okay.
It does.
Talk a little bit about your staff. And I heard you say the number of rooms, but talk a little bit about your staff.
Well, we have 58 staff members, and that's everyone from our housekeeping staff that we could not survive without, all the way to our registered nurses and social workers. We have 3 now licensed medical social workers, master's degree social workers. We have a large number of registered nurses. We have 3 or 4 LPNs and certified nursing assistants. We have 7 of our registered nurses are certified in hospice and palliative care, which we're very proud of, and others are working towards that certification. That just gives us a higher level of knowledge in caring for our patients. And we have wonderful volunteers, and of course our clerical staff that we could not do without as well.
Absolutely.
And we have over 100 hospice volunteers, but we always need more.
Okay.
They do everything from staying with patients who are able to get up and about in their home. They do not do personal care with their patients. They do that all the way to coming in, and they might stay with the patient for a while in Hospice LaGrange just to visit and not leave them alone. All the way to helping with our fundraisers or helping in the office. We have about 20 hours a week of people who actually help in our office with clerical work. And we could not do the events and the functions we have without all these wonderful volunteers.
Oh, very good. I want to come back to volunteers in just a moment if people wanted to help out. And you were talking about the volunteers go into the homes too. And it's important for us to realize that when you talk about hospice, we're not just talking about at your location there on Vernon, but the volunteers and your staff also. Talk a little bit about that for us.
Okay. Our home hospice program stretches to Harris, Heard, Meriwether, Troup, and Coweta counties. So if a patient needs our services and they want to stay in their own home, our nurses actually go to them. Our certified nursing assistants go up to 5-6 days a week to give personal care in the home, and our social workers visit as they're needed, always once a month, and sometimes they're in every week. It just depends on what their needs are. And the social workers are not just there for, we think of social workers to help us get on Medicaid or to do some activity like that. But they are trained counselors, and they are very good with their grief support. And we also have chaplains. We have 2 chaplains and bereavement coordinators that also provide support to the patients and families. But our purpose is to help that person remain at home, because that's where most people want to be. And out of 70 patients, at least 60 approximately 50 to 60 of them, 55 to 60 of them are going to be in their own home,
Okay.
and or in a nursing home or in a assisted living or personal care home. And that was always the main goal of hospice back in its beginning,
Okay.
back in the 60s, was to provide care in the home.
In the home. Now let me ask you, and we're talking about hospice and home care, and of course we're in the midst of the holiday season, Christmas season, and everything. Subject that you think about the giving and everything. Let me ask you: is there a time of the year that you see that the number of persons in your facility is greater at any time of the year, like around the Christmas holiday, or how do you see it?
Well, in our hospice house, we usually do have more at Christmas because sometimes the family uses our hospice house for the respite care, to have a break from the care of their loved one, and they need to Christmas shop and do some things like that maybe, or just to take care of themselves. But it just really fluctuates. And I don't know that I could say any one specific time, but we do seem to have a lot of families at the holiday time. And I know sometimes if someone has had a chronic illness and they realize that it's starting to turn into that phase where there is no hope of cure from that illness, they want to procrastinate coming on a program like hospice, even in their home, until after Christmas. But there's so many things that we could do to help them in any holiday or any time of the year to make their lives easier.
Okay.
And one of those is, having your medicines checked and delivered right to your home, so you don't have to go get prescriptions refilled. I mean, just sometimes as simple a thing as that can make such a difference. Or having a nurse on call, an RN, a registered nurse on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to come out and check your loved one in the middle of the night if you just weren't sure what was going on. And our staff does do that.
Very good.
Excuse me.
It seems like you guys, the staff and yourself included, kind of fills that void for families and things of that nature. And I heard you mention about medicines and deliveries. Talk a little bit about that. So you all do actual medical deliveries as well?
We have a company that does that. Our pharmacy that we use for our home meds deliver the meds straight to the home by FedEx. And this is, if you've ever cared for even an elderly person that you had to prepare their meds and make sure their refills were done, this takes a burden off the family, and that's time that they can spend doing something like, even if it's looking through old photographs or planning an event or something, it just gives them a break. And that's just one of the things. Having a certified nurse and assistant help the patient get into the shower more safely and more easily, just to take that physical care off of the family for just a short period of time can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. I guess if anybody have ever had someone that they had to care for and provide those services for, they can attest to everything that you're saying. Now, some of the, I know that you all have, funding. I know that you all just finished up a number of fundraising events. The Tour of Homes, I think, that took place a couple of weeks ago. Talk about some of the other fundraising events and how volunteers help with that.
Okay. Well, we sell poinsettias. That was an event that started many years ago. And the first year, I think we sold 150 flowers. This year, I believe Tammy Forbes, our volunteer coordinator, and her volunteers sold and delivered, I think it was about 2,200 poinsettias, and they had them all delivered in 3 days. So they have this down to a scientific business, but that raises about $16,000 for us that we're able to use to assist families who can't afford their medicines that are not covered under the Medicare hospice benefit, or to provide. We had recently a family who needed a ramp built in front of their home. So we had volunteers help with that, and there's some materials that might need to be purchased. We can use it for that. Okay. We've assisted with utility bills kind of on a one-time basis and things like that we want our families to be able to focus on being with each other during the time they have left, and not on the things like those things that need to be done.
Well, and it's a great program. I've been to the hospice location there a number of times, and again, is the staff and yourself all just so inviting and warm.
Thank you.
There was one other thing you was telling me about that is just kind of special to the clients. There is a prayer shawl ministry.
Yes,
talk about that.
This is something that was started this past year, and it was brought to us by a volunteer who had the experience in another town. And we have a lot of ladies, and there may even be some gentlemen out there crocheting and knitting shawls or lap blankets. And as they're knitting or crocheting, they say a prayer for the person who will receive that blanket. And when each patient, regardless of whether they're at home or in our hospice house, excuse me, or wherever they are, receive a blanket, and they get a note that explains that someone has thought of them while and of course they don't have the person's name,
right,
but they know that they're doing that for someone who's going to receive it, and that the prayers go with them. And that's been a real special thing, and I think it's meant a lot to the families of the patient that we serve.
That's one thing that we can all use all the time, anytime.
Right.
And, you know, so many services that you all offer there at the LaGrange Hospice, West Georgia Hospice, you call it. I want to go back to volunteer. If there was someone that was listening, Kathy, and they hadn't had an opportunity to volunteer with you all, but they were interested in it, how can they get in touch with you? Or the
only thing they have to do is to call West Georgia Hospice at 706-845-3905, or they can pop in right there at our desk at the front door. But and just give us your name and address and telephone number and your email address if you have one, and let us know that you're interested. There will be another training class in January. I don't have the specific dates, but we only have the classes twice a year because they are very intense. They do last for 2 days, and we do try to work around people's schedules the best we can. But it is very important that they understand the philosophy behind our program and what they're going to be doing, and what to expect if they are assigned to a family, what they do. But and then we send them a letter after we have their name, and we send them a letter, and they would then know how to register for our classes. But and we'll accept those names all year. We keep them, and when it's time to send out the letters, we use that list to generate the letters to go out.
Okay, very good. As we get ready to close out, because you just finished up with your fundraising event, but I'm sure if someone wanted to make a donation, Kathy, tell us how to do that quickly if you don't mind.
Just simply write your check or come by and you can give cash, and we also have the ability to take credit cards to West Georgia Hospice, and all the funds that are raised go through our foundation at West Georgia Health, designated for hospice, and all of those funds are used for activities for our patients, for assistance for our patients, or for occasionally for equipment or furnishings that we might need for our building to keep it up and going. But the majority of the money does go directly, and that actually is for our patients and families. But that's how we do it.
Well, very good. Well, Kathy, thank you again for coming on the show and sharing with us. And I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Merry Christmas to you and everyone out there, and for a thank you to all the people who have helped us throughout the year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
Hi, my name is Bobby McClellan. I'm here at the City of LaGrange Garage to talk to you about a few winter care tips for your vehicle. The first thing I'd like to talk about is, of course, your battery. Your battery is very important to your vehicle because if you don't keep up the maintenance on it, it will leave you stranded during the winter, because winter times are very cold and hard on the batteries. The first thing you may want to check is your battery corrosion on your terminals. When you take a look at it, you have a positive and negative terminal, and the battery corrosion starts to build up and looks kind of like crust on the battery itself. Now, it's very simple and easy to clean these off. You can go to any general parts store and pick up a can of spray cleaner. They're usually less than $5 and look something similar to this here. So you just spray it on the battery itself, on the two terminals, let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, and just rinse it off with water. What it will do when it starts to actually react with it was, it'll be a yellow color, and it'll turn red as it reacts with the battery acid and corrosion on the terminals. All you have to do then is let it sit for a couple minutes and rinse it off. After that, you may want to get a little project pack, which is usually less than $2, something similar to this here, and you can put this on the battery terminal. It's a gel that actually helps prevent and keep the batteries from corroding. Another thing you may want to check is how old your battery is. On most batteries, there is some sort of stamp date or date code on the battery. On this one here, if you look at it, it says B2, which stands for February of 2012. So this battery is not quite a year old. Most battery life is, say, 3 to 5 years is just general battery life for it, and you need to keep an eye on that, make sure you don't get stranded because your battery is too old. That is just one simple tip that you can do for your car during the winter from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have members from Keep Troop Beautiful. I have the chairman, Howard Mingo, and the vice chair, Jim McLaughlin. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with both you gentlemen. I think Howard, you and I have sat down here in the past, and Jim, I think maybe this is your first time with you and I sitting here, right?
It is.
Well, good. We're gonna screen you over real good, Jim. But you gentlemen are here to talk a little bit about Keep Troop Beautiful. Howard, as the chairman, talk a little bit about Keep Troop Beautiful.
Well, we have been here in LaGrange since 1992. We just had our 20-year anniversary. We are affiliated with Keep Georgia Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful. What we try to do is preach the 3 R's: reduce, recycle, and reuse.
Okay.
And we try to teach the public about that. And we start out in the schools, which is really, if we can teach the children, they will teach their parents. And we try to get people to have a personal responsibility of keeping Troup County clean.
Absolutely. You know, I know that we had the Great American Cleanup,
Right.
and you know, have all the other programs that are in place to try to help keep the lake cleanup, to try to keep, as you say, keep Troup County and the state of Georgia clean for that matter, because you all are affiliated with Keep Georgia Beautiful as well.
Right.
Jim, you were, I think, recently appointed as the chair, vice chair of Keep Troop Beautiful. Talk a little bit about your experiences thus far.
Well, this is actually going to be my first major experience right here doing this. This was kind of a last minute thing. I got a call yesterday to come in and assist Howard with this, but he's going to do a great job for us.
Well, we're not going to let you off the hook that easy, Jim.
Okay.
Now, I know that, Jim, you and I have had opportunity to work together in the past, and you're now with the county, and you are the code enforcement officer. So talk a little bit about your role and how that plays in with Keep Troop Beautiful.
Well, as a code enforcement officer, I'm out there seeing a lot more on the roads and whatnot than the people actually in the meetings and whatnot. I mean, they see it back into the work and when they're traveling around and whatnot. But I get calls on it, you know, trash on the side of the roads and whatnot and all. When we do our annual trash survey or litter survey in Troup County, we ride certain roads and check and count, and we have a scale of I think it's like 1 to 4, 4 being really trashy and 1 being less trashy or whatnot, or litter. Mm-hmm. So I help out with that. I drive the surveyors around sometimes and do that. Also, I kind of do, I inform them. I did a presentation to the Keep Troop Beautiful several months ago about just the type of calls that I handle as a code enforcement officer.
Oh, okay. And that landed you the vice chairmanship, right?
I guess it did, yeah.
So you're doing a great job, Jim. Well, you know, I know that from the city standpoint, we also have code enforcement officers that travel around. I'm sure you know some of those officers as well. And I think it's everyone's responsibility to keep our city, our county, or state clean, because of the fact that nobody wants to come in and drive into an area where you just see trash and litter, because that's a deterrent, I think, for businesses coming in, you know, for other, you know, commerce and things of that nature. Howard, you mentioned a moment ago about getting the kids involved and teaching them, then they sometimes teach the parents. Talk about some of the programs that you all have in place in the school systems now. Well,
we have the J.R. Lewis Award, which awards the schools that do the most for the environment and do the most as recycling. We also have a Recycle Arts contest, which we just had at the local library. And kids are required to make art out of items that they recycle. And it is just fantastic of the ideas that come out of their heads. And we had a pretty big showing. We had family and friends show up at our awards banquet there, and it was really good. And thanks to the library for allowing us to do this 2 years in a row. And they said it has been such a huge success that they will allow us to do it again next year. So if we teach the children will teach the parents.
Absolutely. You know, I got an opportunity to look at the art. I think it was, I saw some computer keyboards and you know, I guess it was a monitor screen, all of those things that were there. And as a matter of fact, I think Doris had called me, wanted to get it displayed at the City Hall as well. And you know, it is creative that these kids can come up with various things out of just recycled stuff. You know, so Jim, you got, I'm sure you'll see a lot of things along your route that these kids perhaps could use. Is that a fair statement?
That would definitely be a good statement there. Yes, there's so many things out there that could be recycled that we see every day, and whenever these kids get together and they put those exhibits up, you know, it's just amazing what they come up with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, and from our office, we Kristen Haney is on the board of Keep Troop Beautiful as well. We call her our recycle queen there in the office. But you know, we have to. And I remember some years ago, my youngest brother, had a Coke, and I just threw the can away. He said, "Don't be throwing that can away." He said, "You got to say something for my son when he comes along." And you know, I didn't think anything about it, but you know, we've had you guys to tell us how the life of an aluminum can. 60 days is back in circulation?
It's back in circulation, and it can be recycled indefinitely.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about when you talk about reuse there.
Right.
Now, we're also here, during the Christmas holiday time, people are going to have their Christmas trees, and someone will have the live trees and things of that nature. We want to talk a little bit about one thing that Keep Troop Beautiful does every year, and that is to bring one to the chipper as well. Talk a little bit about that for us, gentlemen.
Well, that is a recycle program that we've been doing now for about 8 years. And what we do is we ask anyone who has a live Christmas tree to not just throw it away, but to recycle it. Now, I've been told that a lot of fishermen will put them in the lakes, and it's good for the fish to hatch. And so that's fine, that works for us. But if you're not going to do that, feel free to bring them to Home Depot right after Christmas until January 4th. And we'll have the city will take them, they will chip them, make them mulch, and it will be used around the city. On the 4th, which is a Saturday, we will be there from 10 to 2. At that time, we will also collect electronics, and we will dispose of them properly. We collect all electronics. Don't bring TVs, because we can't do anything with TVs. But any old electronics that you have, feel free to bring them to the Home Depot parking lot between 10 and 2. And not only will we dispose of them for you, and you can bring the Christmas trees there also. Take your ornaments off. We don't want those. But we will have different contests we'll have where we'll have you fill out a short form, and then we'll have drawings by the hour, and you can win gift certificates and different prizes. So it's a win-win situation. In Hogansville, we do have a spot for you, and that's at
Lincoln Street.
Yeah, Lincoln Street. And at West Point, we'll also be accepting trees there at West Point. Now, if you have an old television that works, you can take it to the rehab store, which is at the 333 Main Street. But we don't take televisions. So, and if you have one that doesn't work, you'll have to take it to the landfill, but it costs you a little money to do that. But we think it's a great program. It's always cold that day. So we dress warm, and normally we have some teenagers working with us, and we'll feed them pizza and hot cocoa and sodas, and we really have a good time doing that. 10 to 2, January 4th.
The 4th,
Very good. On the prizes now, they don't have to be there to win. They can fill out the form, and we will give them a call.
All right.
So don't feel like they have to stick around from 10 to 2 to see if they won.
If they want anything, Let me go. I want to go back, because you were talking about bringing one to the chipper, and how you were mentioning about electronics. You can receive electronics, but not television. And Jim, in your capacity, I'm sure you see, you know, probably on a daily, sometimes in some of the unincorporated areas, people would just kind of throw out these things because they don't want to bring them to a location. Is that?
That's, I have several areas in the county where TVs have a tendency to be dumped. TVs and tires seem to go good together there. There are several locations throughout the county, unfortunately, but we are trying to work on that and Yes.
Well, here's an opportunity. They can bring those electronic items, but not televisions, to the Home Depot on January the 4th there, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. And then, of course, you have locations in Hogansville and also in West Point.
West Point, right.
Okay, very good. That's the same day, January the 4th?
The same day, January 4th.
Okay.
Now, you bring your Christmas trees to Hogansville and to West Point. They do not take the electronics. We're the only ones that are going to take the electronics on January 4th.
Okay, only one on January 4th. All right, very good. Well, let me ask you now, what are some of the goals for Keep Troop Beautiful as we move forward? You guys have been here now for 20 years. What are some of the things that you see as future goals for
Well,
Keep Troop Beautiful?
our motto is do something beautiful. And our goal is really to have individuals take responsibility for themselves, for their neighborhood, for their street. We have Adopt a Mile that anyone or any organization can adopt, take a street that's maybe right in front of your place of business, your church, and once a week go out with a bag, gloves, and pick up the trash, pick up the cigarette butts, pick up the bottles and cans, recycle the cans, of course.
Right.
But Adopt a Mile, if we can get folks to do that, and I do have a telephone number for you.
Okay.
If you want to call us and see where you need it, we'll be glad to help you, steer you with that.
Okay,
And that's
go ahead and give it to them then.
706-884-9922. We also, at times, we have supplies that you can use, bags and gloves, and so it makes it possible for you. And we hear that the tourism here is really increasing. We know they were just filming a movie here just last month, so we want people to look at our town and our county and think it's beautiful and a place to do business. So
absolutely. And you said Adopt a Mile, so people can come and do that at any point, not just wait till the Great American Cleanup or
which is
the
in
lake
April.
cleanup. Absolutely. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the show today. And don't forget, bring one to the chipper, right?
Right.
But not your television, but the electronics. Well, I want to thank both of you all and wish both of you and your families a very Merry Christmas. Wish you all the very best. Jim, congratulations on being appointed the vice chair, and I know that you'll do a great job. I know Howard has been there for a while, so you can learn all you can from him.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Good teacher.
With both, yes, sir. Thank both you all for being on the show today.
all right, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We're back for more City Week in just a moment.
This is Bobby McClung with the City of LaGrange Garage. I'm here to give you another winter car care tip for your vehicle. Now, one thing you do need to check through the winter is your antifreeze. Your antifreeze keeps your vehicle from freezing during the winter. It's supposed to have a proper 50-50 mix between antifreeze and water. Very easy way to check it. One thing you need to look at is your coolant level to see how much antifreeze you have in the vehicle. No, it's going to have a maximum or minimum level on your reservoir, and it's going to tell you how much you need to put in it. Another thing you need to check is the actual freezing point of your antifreeze. And you can do that with a simple tester you can get at any parts store. All you do is take the cap off of your radiator reservoir. On this model vehicle we have a reservoir. Stick it down in and squeeze up your antifreeze into the tester. There will be a needle showing where your antifreeze test level is, and on this vehicle it's good to negative 45 degrees. Now, you need to have it up to about 0 degrees. You don't want it to be any higher than 0. If it's anything above 0, you need to flush out and refill your radiator with the proper level and type of antifreeze, and you can check your owner's manual for that. This is just another simple car care tip from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from West Georgia Hospice, the director, Kathy Wiggins, and she talked about the recently celebrated fundraising events. And for those of you that would still like to give a donation, you can do that by giving her a call at West Georgia Hospice. Also, I had on the chairman and the vice chair from Keep Troop Beautiful, Howard Mingo, and also Jim McLaughlin, as they talked to and reminded us about Bring One to the Chipper on January the 4th out at Home Depot between the hours of 2 and 10. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining for City Week this week, and I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a happy and safe holiday. And by all means, come back and join me for more of City Week.